What would you do if you found out your father cheated while your mom was dying of cancer? I need to tell you about the worst betrayal of my life. It started when I was 17 years old. My mother was diagnosed with breast cancer. I remember that day so clearly, the way the world seemed to tilt on its axis, how suddenly everything that mattered before felt trivial. For 2 years, I watched her fight. 2 years of hospitals, treatments, hope and fear cycling endlessly. During those 2 brutal years, my father was conspicuously absent. He was always working, always on another business trip. It was my aunt and grandmother who stepped up, who sat by my mother's bedside, who held her hand through the worst of it. I was young, barely an adult, trying to finish school while watching my mother fade away. And my father? He was nowhere to be found. When I was 19, my mother lost her battle. The grief was overwhelming, a physical weight that made it hard to breathe. But I tried to push forward, day by day, moment by moment. 5 months later, my father asked me to talk to me. He had someone he wanted me to meet, he said. His new girlfriend. I was furious. 5 months. 5 months since we buried my mother, and he'd already moved on? I lost it. I yelled at him about how quickly he'd forgotten her, how disrespectful it was to her memory. That's when they dropped the bomb that would change everything. They'd been together for 3 years. 3 years. Let that sink in. My father had been cheating on my mother while she was dying. Every business trip, every late night at the office, every time he wasn't there when she needed him most, he was with her, with his affair partner, building a relationship while my mother fought for her life. The rage that consumed me in that moment was unlike anything I'd ever felt. It was white hot and all-consuming. I didn't say another word to him that same day. I packed my things that same day and left his house. I haven't spoken to him since. That was 6 years ago, when I walked out his door and out of his life. For the next several years, I rebuilt my world without him. The only family member I maintained contact with was my aunt, the one who'd helped care for my mother, the one who helped me when I left my father's house. She was my lifeline, my connection to the family I'd lost. Then, a few days ago, everything exploded again. I'm 25 years old, living my own life, and my aunt called. It started normally enough. She asked how I was doing, made small talk. Then she asked if I'd heard from my father. Why would I hear from him? I said, confused. She explained that my father was getting married, to her, to the affair partner, and she thought that attending his wedding might help us mend our relationship. I was stunned. Why would I do that? I said flatly. He's dead to me. There was a long, heavy silence on the phone. Then a voice I hadn't heard in years responded. Is that really what you feel about me? My blood ran cold. It was my father. He'd been there the whole time, listening to every word. My aunt had ambushed me, tricked me into this conversation. I hung up immediately. My hands were shaking. I felt sick. I texted my aunt right away, reminding her that when I left my father's house, she'd promised not to tell him anything about me. She'd agreed to keep my information private. Her response made everything worse. She called me an asshole for what I had said on that phone call. She told me my father was crushed by my words. She said I should have moved on by now. I couldn't believe it. This person who I thought cared about me, who I thought understood what my father had done, was now taking his side. I didn't want to argue with someone who'd once helped me, so I blocked her. that should have been the end of it. It wasn't. Over the next 2 days, my life turned into a nightmare. A wedding invitation arrived in my mailbox. The only person who knew my address was my aunt. She'd given it out. And apparently, she'd also given out my phone number to the entire family. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Calls and texts from my father, uncles, cousins, other aunts, people I hadn't heard from in years, all telling me I should give him a chance and come to the wedding. Some of them were kind about it. Others were vicious, calling me names for what I'd said on that phone call. Then I got a text from her, the affair partner, my father's fiancée, the woman who'd been my mother's friend, who'd known my mother had cancer, who'd still chosen to have an affair with her husband. She told me my father was thinking of postponing the wedding because of me. She wanted me to talk to him. I told her it wasn't my fault if he postponed his wedding. I didn't want a relationship with my father or with her. They were the ones trying to force this, not me. After that, things went quiet. But the damage was done. Being told by so many people that I was an asshole, that I was wrong, that I should forgive and forget, it left me conflicted. Still, I knew in my heart I was right to stick to my decision. I ended up blocking 39 phone numbers. 39! The sheer volume of people who thought they had a right to pressure me was staggering. And it dawned on me, reading through some of the messages, there was a pattern. Several people had mentioned things like, it's a son's duty to take care of his father, and your future kids would want their grandfather in their life. It felt calculated, like there was an ulterior motive behind this sudden desire to reconnect. They'd never reached out before. Why now? I took precautions. I started the process of changing my phone number. Fortunately, I live in a secure apartment building. You need to be buzzed in, sign in with security, and use a key fob for the elevator. I hoped I wouldn't have to move, but I kept my options open in case things escalated. On the advice of many people who reached out to me, I decided to send one final message to all 39 numbers that had contacted me. I detailed exactly what my father had done, the affair, the betrayal of my dying mother, everything. Then I blocked them all. I didn't care about their responses. I just wanted them to know the truth.
I thought that would be the end of it. For about a week, it seemed like it was. I'd changed my number, but kept my old phone with the old SIM card, just to collect evidence if they tried to harass me from random numbers. Thankfully, nothing came through. I allowed myself to hope it was over. Then, one evening, as I was returning home from work, I found someone waiting for me in the parking lot. My heart jumped into my throat, but it was my aunt's fiancé. I'd met him a few times before all this happened. He knew what time I got off work. I was immediately on guard, but he raised his hands peacefully. "I just want to talk," he said. "Please, just 5 minutes." Against my better judgment, I agreed. What he told me was shocking. According to him, the text I'd sent had caused absolute chaos in the family. A shitstorm, in his words. Many of the cousins hadn't known what happened in the past. When they received my message, they started questioning my father and his fiancée. Both of them got defensive, denied everything at first. But someone else in the family, someone who'd known the truth, confirmed that what I'd said was accurate. This revelation caused a massive argument within the family. Several cousins pulled out of the wedding entirely. My father wanted to postpone everything so he could try to talk to me to somehow fix things. But the affair partner, his fiancée, threatened to leave him if he did that. It gets worse. The news of what my father and his fiancée had done spread beyond the family. It reached some of their friends, people who had once been friends with my mom as well. Several of them also pulled out of the wedding. This sent the affair partner into a complete breakdown. She started banning anyone who brought up the subject from the wedding, family members included. According to my aunt's fiancé, she was blaming everything on me. She claimed I'd done this intentionally to ruin her wedding. I actually laughed when he told me that. The audacity was almost impressive. "The wedding is still happening, though," he said, somehow. I asked him about my aunt, how this whole phone call ambush had started. He explained that there had been a family conversation about how bad it would look if I wasn't at the wedding. My aunt had offered to call me. He'd disagreed with the plan, but she'd done it anyway. "I'm only here because I felt you needed to know what happened," he said. "I don't agree with what she did." I thanked him for his honesty, but I told him I was going completely no contact with my aunt, and by extension with him as well, since they were getting married. He understood. He wished me well and left. I won't lie, I wasn't okay after that conversation. I missed my aunt. I missed having that connection to my family, to the woman who'd helped care for my mother. And God, I missed my mom. The grief would hit me at random moments, waves of it that threatened to pull me under. But I knew I'd done the right thing. I had to protect myself, my peace, my boundaries. I stayed with my girlfriend during this time, and she was incredible. She tried to cheer me up by coming up with increasingly absurd ways we could ruin the wedding if we wanted to. Her very first idea was, let's go to the landfill, catch some rats, and release them at the wedding reception. Each suggestion got progressively more ridiculous from there. We both knew we'd never actually do any of it. I had no intention of going anywhere near that wedding, but laughing about it together helped more than she probably knew. A year has passed since I wrote about those events. I'm not sure I'm doing this right, this updating thing, but I logged in today and saw messages from people asking what happened, how I'm doing. Your kindness touched me, so I wanted to share where I am now. Regarding the wedding, I don't know much. I know they got married. No one from that side of the family has contacted me since then, and I haven't gone looking for information. I'm at peace with that. As for me, things are very different now. I'm single. I've moved to a new city. My ex-girlfriend, I'll call her Mia, and I separated about 4 months after my last update. We celebrated 2 years together that March. We'd talked about our future, about building a life together. But I was a mess. Therapy had started well, but it quickly became clear just how many unresolved issues I'd buried deep inside. Losing my mother, the betrayal by my father, the years of suppressed grief, it all pouring out. I found myself crying at random moments. I had these fucked up intrusive thoughts that terrified me. Fears that I might somehow turn into my father, that I carried some of his capacity for cruelty. I was spiraling, unable to control the anxiety and pain that therapy was unearthing. Mia had dreams. She wanted marriage, children, a family of her own. And I knew, as much as it killed me to admit it, that I wasn't in the right place to give her the future she deserved. It would have been incredibly selfish of me to ask her to wait around while I sorted through my psychological wreckage. I couldn't do that to her. We had a long, honest conversation. There were a lot of tears from both of us. We still cared deeply for each other, but ultimately we decided to part ways. It wasn't easy. It was one of the hardest decisions I've ever made, but it was the right one for both of us. What made it bearable was that Mia, along with my close friends, didn't abandon me. They checked on me every single day after the breakup. I wasn't left alone to face the darkness. I'm so grateful for that. In July, my company offered me an opportunity to transfer to the head office in another city. After discussing it extensively with my therapist, I decided it would be good for me. A change of scenery, a fresh start, a chance to be someone new in a place where nobody knew my story. In September, I made the move. My best friend used 25 days of his 30-day annual holiday to help me pack, move, and settle into my new place. 25 days. I can't overstate how much that meant to me. I have incredible friends, and I don't take that for granted. Since then, I've been taking things one day at a time. The new office has been amazing. Everyone was so welcoming, which was a huge relief because I'd been anxious about starting over in somewhere new. Would they like me? Would I fit in? Those fears turned out to be unfounded. I now attend online therapy sessions twice a week, and I also go to in-person grief counseling here in my new city. It's been helping a lot. I'm in a much better headspace than I was a year ago. I still have hard days where the grief ambushes me, where I think about my mother and what my father stole from her final years, but those days are becoming less frequent. I still don't feel ready to date again. For now, I'm focusing on my career and on continuing to heal. I'm learning to be okay with myself, to forgive myself for not being perfect, to understand that healing isn't linear. Some days I take steps forward, some days I slip backward, but overall the trajectory is upward. I want to thank everyone who reached out, who sent messages, who cared enough to check in on a stranger on the internet. Your kindness means more than I can put into words. In some of my darkest moments, knowing that people out there understood what I was going through, that they believed me when I said I'd done the right thing, it kept me going.